911, what's your emergency?
A call for help that opened Pandora's box.
These people have had 9 years to straighten this town out, and look what they've done. The worst town in the whole state of Missouri.
Leading to the arrest of the now former police chief and questions from the community.
We break our backs to provide and to do and help out in this community, and we're treated like trash.
With questions brewing about the newly appointed chief and calls to impeach the mayor, Louisiana, Missouri is a community in crisis.
You're watching a special edition of KHQA News at 6. Community in crisis.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Sydney Brooks. This is a special edition of KHQA News at 6 focusing on a community in crisis, Louisiana, Missouri. The city in Pike County sits south of Hannibal. It's home to about 3,200 people. Louisiana is also one of 3 communities forming the 50 miles of art corridor linked by history, heritage, and Route 79. But since October, the small town has been known more for chaos and crime than creativity. Joining me now is KHQA's Zach Richardson. Zach, you've been following this case since the beginning.
Yes, thanks, Sydney. And we're going to be talking a lot about 3 people for the next half hour. First, William Jones, who is the former police chief, now charged with murder, among other things.
Then we'll meet the new police chief, Christopher Heatherly, and take a look into his past and why some are questioning the decision to hire him.
And Louisiana Mayor Tim Carter. Some folks want to see him impeached. We'll find out why.
So, Zach, take us back to October.
Well, in October of 2022, William Jones was the chief of police for Louisiana, Missouri. He had held that position for about 2 years, but on October 18th, everything changed. On October 18th, an off-duty Louisiana police officer called the non-emergency line of Pike County 911 and Central Dispatch to report a death. When responders arrived to the home of Louisiana Police Chief William Jones and his girlfriend Alexis Stone, they discovered the body of 24-year-old Gabriel Stone, the brother of Alexis. He had died of an apparent overdose. There was also a 21-year-old who was revived with Narcan. A probable cause statement states Pike County Sheriff deputies found drug paraphernalia in Jones's home, including glass pipes, scales commonly used for distributing, and a white notebook with the powdery substance. The next day, both Jones and Stone were taken into custody. But Sydney, that was just the beginning. Further searches turned up a plastic Louisiana Police Department evidence bag with the Missouri State Highway Patrol lab seal containing white crystalline powder substance consistent with methamphetamine. A probable cause statement explains Jones attempted to destroy, suppress, and conceal physical evidence by removing it from the evidence room located at the Louisiana Police Department. Now, that's a room that which only Jones had access, and he took it back to his house. And Jones's problems would just keep getting worse. In January, a Pike County grand jury indicted him on charges of second-degree murder for his alleged role in the fatal overdose of his girlfriend's brother.
So, Zach, we're talking about the police chief arrested and charged with drug trafficking and murder. Now, this is pretty shocking for a small town.
Yes, it is very shocking. And let's take a look at the charges Jones is currently facing. Those include second-degree murder, drug trafficking, tampering with evidence, possession of a controlled substance, and stealing of a controlled substance.
So how has the community reacted to all of this? Not well, I would imagine.
No, not at all. There are a lot of angry people. Many are asking how Jones got the job in the first place, so we looked into it. William Jones was hired by the city of Louisiana in 2019. He had worked in Louisiana as both a part-time and full-time officer. Before coming to Louisiana, Jones worked at many other departments as well as the county. After the demotion of former Deputy Chief Corey Anderson, Jones was later installed into the position as the city was impressed by his procedural and investigative experience. However, things would shake up even more in the small community. In October of 2020, April Everson submitted her resignation as police chief after 6 years in the position in her 16-year career in law enforcement. At the recommendation of the mayor at the time, Marvin Brown, Will Jones filled in as head of the department and took over day-to-day operations. The council then looked to hire a full-time chief of police and received many applications. After interviews of all candidates, the council found Jones to be the best fit to take the job as he was the only local candidate.
And since Jones was hired, a new mayor, Tim Carter, was elected. Now, he tells KHQA that he believes worries about corruption are the reason he was voted into office.
One of the reasons I ran for mayor was because of a lot of the citizens in the community was very concerned about our local government, including the police department. And it is pretty obvious to the citizens and to myself And that's the main interest why I ran and why I got elected.
We'll be hearing much more about Mayor Carter a little later on, including why some citizens think he should be impeached. But first, Zach, you've had a chance to talk to folks in Louisiana. In fact, that's your hometown.
Yes, it is, and people are frustrated. They don't know who to trust. When residents gathered in November of 2022 to voice their concerns with the city, they were sad, angry, and scared. However, in the months following the arrest of former Louisiana Police Chief William Jones, things in the city have gotten much better.
Things have calmed down some, I will say that. The police and the mayor, I will say, they have been more accessible to the community.
Resident Alicia Blackwell says the change has been very noticeable, but many are still very concerned. As a parent, the number of drug overdoses in the city have been frightening to her, with 3 deaths confirmed as an overdose since 2020, while 6 others are still pending results.
It scares me to death. It really does. I'm so scared for I allow kids to come to my home and play the game and hang out in the yard and do whatever. We take them riding them 4-wheelers just to get them out of town, get them away from all of that. Because when you just let them run the streets, who knows what they're going to get into.
Blackwell also has concerns regarding the police department. For years, she says many residents had no trust in the department. As the community begins to see things starting to change for the better, she hopes the police department can return to what it once was, a department that cares about the community.
They would communicate with us. They hung out with us at games and stuff. You know, they interacted with the kids. That's what we need.
As the city continues its work to improve, she hopes the small community can return to the great place it once was.
I just want them to think about the community. Everyone in the community. Namely our kids. We're here for them. We do this for them, to leave it for them, for our grandkids, our great-grandkids.
So, Zach, where do things stand now?
Well, former Police Chief William Jones is currently being held in the Lincoln County Jail on a $500,000 cash-only bond. He will be transferred to St. Charles County at a later date. A special prosecuting attorney will be appointed, and of course, we'll continue to follow this case as it develops.
Thanks, Zach. Will a new chief mean a new start for Louisiana citizens? Not necessarily. A look at his past when we come back. You're watching a special edition of KHQA News at 6, Community in Crisis, Louisiana, Missouri.
Watching a special edition of KHQA News at 6, Community in Crisis.
I'm Sydney Brooks, and we're talking tonight about Louisiana, Missouri, a community in crisis. From mid-October to mid-December, the city of Louisiana was without a police chief following the shocking arrest of then-Chief William Jones. Then enter Christopher Heatherly. Heatherly was named interim chief on December 12th. Heatherly says he has 25 years experience in law enforcement. His resume includes time in several Illinois cities, including Cahokia, Brooklyn, Washington Park, Lebanon, St. Clair County, East St. Louis, Wamak, and Ellsbury in Missouri. It looks like an impressive resume, but some residents we spoke to have concerns.
When they first hired him, I really had my doubts. I read everything pro and con on him, and I had my doubts, but I talked to people, the good council members we have uptown, and they pretty much, we had to take whatever we could get.
KHQA's Zach Richardson joining me once again. Zach, one of the biggest concerns involves a fatal shooting he was involved in back in 2016 when he was with the Washington Park Police Department. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, while off duty, Heatherly was at a Walmart in Cahokia where he spotted a man with a lengthy criminal history. Heatherly says he then reached out to the Cahokia Police Department, and when the shift commander arrived, they formed a plan to arrest the suspect. The man began to run and hopped in a vehicle. Fearing for his life, Heatherly fired 3 shots. Now, many in Louisiana have concerns regarding the situation, and Heatherly says it is something he thinks about every day and wishes there was a different outcome.
Unfortunately, I met him one night on the lot of Walmart, and there was no question in my mind that he was going to run me over. His girlfriend even said he's going to run us over. So I had no other choice. I didn't make any of those decisions, and I've been asked, what if you could do it different, what would you do different? And I said the only thing I could have done different that would not have been the result is not show up at Walmart. Other than that, he made all the choices. I did not make one of those choices. They were all in reaction to his.
In their investigation, the Illinois State Police found that Heatherly had acted properly in the situation.
And Heatherly is no stranger to the area, as he was an officer in Ellsbury, just 30 minutes from Louisiana.
Yeah, and right, but this time with the department, his time with the department didn't last long. According to minutes from an Ellsbury City Council meeting in May of 2020, the Ellsbury Board of Aldermen informed Heatherly and his lawyer that he had been terminated from the Ellsbury Police Department effective immediately. We were looking into the cause of that termination. But prior to that, Heatherly was a police officer at the Brooklyn Police Department, where he reportedly removed a weapon from the department's evidence room and then improperly handled it. Heatherly was then placed on the Brady list, which keeps track of police officers who have engaged in or have been accused of misconduct. I asked Louisiana Mayor Tim Carter if these terminations were ever a concern when voting to make Heatherly their interim police chief.
We did a thorough background check on him. We spoke with the police chief and some of the council members down there in Ellsbury. The issue with that didn't have any concerns of work performance. It was all political in nature, mainly coming from the district court, or excuse me, the Lincoln County Court. You know, issues that he had with over in St. Clair County that was alleviated when the attorney over there lifted and rescinded his letter.
Chief Heatherly has already shown in his early stages how hard of a worker he is. The Louisiana Police Department now has new policies to give the citizens a professional police department, body cameras, community events. The police department is beginning to build back up. But Heatherly says it still isn't where it needs to be, and he hopes he can change that.
We have to get in the 21st century. We need the computers that are making law enforcement so much simpler and able to touch across the United States and the world to find out, you know, about criminals who we're arresting. That's got to be done.
So, Zach, are people in the community starting to come around, or are there still concerns?
Well, there are many in the community who see his vision of what the city of Louisiana could be, but there are some who still question the decision to vote him in so fast. When looking at his history at other departments, some citizens still have their concerns on if he is the right person to turn the city around.
It's definitely a concern to a lot of us, but of course, a lot of us don't matter and our opinions don't matter. So it's just thrown out, oh, well, just give him a second chance. Everybody deserves a second chance. And I get that. I do get that. But is this the right time for our community to extend that olive branch? We need stability. We need someone who is not already just with a lot of baggage.
Thanks, Zach. As the folks in Louisiana look for answers, some are turning to the mayor. The calls for his impeachment, his response, when this special edition of KHQA News at 6 continues.
A special edition of KHQA News at 6. Community in crisis.
Welcome back. I'm Sydney Brooks, and we're talking tonight about Louisiana, Missouri, a community in crisis. As much of the attention was focused on the former chief of police, some had their eyes on the mayor. Tim Carter is a longtime Louisiana resident. Carter says he has always wanted the best for the community. And before becoming the mayor of the city, Carter was on the city council. KHQA's Zach Richardson joining me once again. Zach, in spite of these good intentions, not everyone wants Mayor Carter in office.
That's right. When Carter took office in 2020, he faced much opposition from within the council. He said it only took 1 week in office for some council members to change ordinances, which he says never really allowed him much opportunity to share his thoughts with that council. The council then began discussing impeachment of Carter, as they alleged he created a hostile working environment. However, some of those members have since stepped down, and now talks of impeachment have become very quiet.
There's been no more movement in that direction. In fact, the council voted to go ahead and sever the relationship with Paul Martin. He was supposed to be conducting an investigation of complaints. And those that made all the complaints, or majority of the complaints, no longer work with the city. And majority of them was from the previous police department. So the whole issue is kind of mute right now.
The situation may be mute at the moment, but now the city of Louisiana is facing the financial burdens that came with the process.
In fact, Carter says the city is on track to spend over $144,000 for attorney fees, something that he has never seen before. He says the council is working to get that number cut down. And with the investigation into the complaints filed against him no longer taking place, he is now able to start doing what he set out to do when he took office.
Where we're at right now, it's you can call it attrition, you can call it anything you want to call it. I call it I'm blessed because we really will be able to get to the hard work and trying to better the city of Louisiana.
Zach, you've been to some of the council meetings. Has the atmosphere changed? Are things calming down?
Things have began to calm down. Many still have concerns. Started to see some people coming together to join the process to see their town become what it can be.
So with all of this talk of corruption and impeachment, what will it take for the city to have a successful police department? A neighboring police chief weighs in when we come back.
Special edition of KHQA News at 6. Community in crisis.
Welcome back to this special edition of KHQA News at 6. I'm Sydney Brooks, and we're talking tonight about Louisiana, Missouri, a community in crisis. Now, so far, we've learned that the former police chief is in jail on charges of drug trafficking and a second-degree murder. The new police chief has a past that includes a fatal shooting and allegations of misconduct. And the mayor is fighting an uphill battle with a council that tried to impeach him. So what will it take to get this community out of crisis? Zach Richardson went to a neighboring town to find out.
You just live in a bubble and you're in your own vacuum doing your own thing. You know, it's my way or the highway. That's no good for any department.
The Louisiana, Missouri Police Department was in shambles following the arrest of now former Police Chief William Jones. Now, the community has little trust in the police department, which raises a challenge.
If I do anything that violates that trust or gives the appearance that they can't trust me or that I'm being dishonest or that I'm not being transparent, I lose all credibility.
Ellsbury Police Chief Randy Davis says a major factor in having a successful police department is gaining the respect from the people.
Police departments have to have the support of the community. Yeah. If you do not have the support of the community, you cannot police that community. If you don't have the respect, if you don't have them supporting you, then you can't do your job.
In order to gain that respect, Davis says the police department needs to think about what will most benefit the community and help it improve in the future.
Be transparent. No shenanigans. Don't slide stuff under the rug. If you got to let somebody go, you got to let somebody go. And look out for the best interest of that city. And look at the whole picture. How does this affect potential, problems?
So after everything that's happened, what is life in Louisiana like now? We'll take a look at the state of the city when we come back. You're watching KHQA News at 6, Community in Crisis.
Special edition of KHQA News at 6. Community in crisis.
Welcome back to this special edition of KHQA News at 6. I'm Sydney Brooks, and we're talking tonight about Louisiana, Missouri, a community in crisis. Now, so far, we've learned that the former police chief is in jail on charges of drug trafficking and a second-degree murder. The new police chief has a past that includes a fatal shooting and allegations of misconduct. And the mayor is fighting an uphill battle with a council that tried to impeach him. So what will it take to get this community out of crisis? Zach Richardson went to a neighboring town to find out.
You just live in a bubble and you're in your own vacuum doing your own thing. It's my way or the highway. That's no good for any department.
The Louisiana, Missouri Police Department was in shambles following the arrest of now former Police Chief William Jones. Now, the community has little trust in the police department, which raises a challenge.
If I do anything that violates that trust or gives the appearance that they can't trust me or that I'm being dishonest or that I'm not being transparent, I lose all credibility.
Ellsbury Police Chief Randy Davis says a major factor in having a successful police department is gaining the respect from the people.
Police departments have to have the support of the community. Yeah. If you do not have the support of the community, you cannot police that community. If you don't have the respect, if you don't have them supporting you, then you can't do your job.
In order to gain that respect, Davis says the police department needs to think about what will most benefit the community and help it improve in the future.
Be transparent. No shenanigans. Don't slide stuff under the rug. If you got to let somebody go, you got to let somebody go. And look out for the best interest of that city. And look at the whole picture. How does this affect potential, problems?
So after everything that's happened, what is life in Louisiana like now? We'll take a look at the state of the city when we come back. You're watching KHQA News at 6, Community in Crisis.